When you stop calling, you stop the ability to make more money. How many dollars do you want to earn? How many deals do you want to close? So that 2024 doesn't tell you how it's supposed to be. If nothing else, even if you don't reach this audience, at least have a target audience, meaning this. Because here's what I'll share with you. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have got paid. Attention, we're going to talk about this 2024 success plan that's on your sheets, all right? So Teddy was kind enough to print all of this. I want you to write something down in these little boxes, and you can just pick January, February, March, it doesn't matter. What we're going to work on is what I call a wire framework. And this wire framework, you're going to apply it to every month in these boxes, okay? Something I want you to consider, and something that's been kind of on my mind over the last few weeks as I start to think about business planning for sales teams that I coach and sales teams that I manage, is deals, dollars, and days worked. So somewhere on your sheet, I want you to write down deals, dollars, and days worked. Those are three metrics that I want you to start to consider as you build out 2024. Is it fair to say anybody except Danny Mandillo went to Starbucks this morning? Because I see it right in front of you, so I know you went. Anybody else go to Starbucks this morning? You went to Starbucks this morning. Nobody, I mean, I did, and nobody, my wife did. Okay, is it fair to say that you guys go to Starbucks at all? Okay, great. And when you go to Starbucks, do you assume them to be open, ready to serve you coffee? Because they're business owners. Why would a business not be open? That's the number of days they plan to work. Now, for them, it happens to be close to 365. So when we talk about days worked for you in your industry, how many days are you working next year? And when we talk about how many days are you working next year, what does a day worked look like for you? There was another insanely smart, intelligent person. She's in the back of the room. Her name's Tina. Now, I don't have to take notes when I listen to seminars and stuff because I don't do sales. I do what I do. She's so good that I took notes and I kept those notes. And one of the things she shared, and I hope she shares it again today, I'm not going to spoil your whole speech, but I'm going to tell you what I took away from the Phone Warriors thing that you did maybe a month and a half ago. When you stop calling, you stopped the ability to make more money for your business. Man, that stuck with me forever. You move from making that money to servicing money that you've already made. So the point being, make sure you have a definition for yourself as what a day worked looked like. What's a day's worked defined? Is it contacting 20 people? Is it calling until your throat's sore? Whatever that is, it doesn't matter to me. It should matter to you. When do you think people should expect you to be open, much like you expect Starbucks to be open? Is that fair to say? Cool. Fantastic. So that's days worked. Dollars. I think dollars is pretty self-explanatory while we still have dollars. How many dollars do you want to earn? How many deals do you want to close? Some people, funny enough, John, we talked about the quote that I took away from our one-on-one, which was, look, I know if I show up, the money will come. He said that in such a kind of a cool, calm demeanor that I knew he felt it and I know he believes it. So for him, it's not about the dollars because he fully believes, and he's right, that he continues to show up consistently, continues to show up for his clients and his business, that the dollars will come. So maybe the number of deals for him isn't the big deal, maybe the number of dollars isn't the big deal, but the fact that he shows up daily, knows that that stuff's going to happen, that's what's important to him. So dollars, deals, and days worked. This is your square, like that's January, February, March, whatever you do. I highly encourage you to create a little circle right here at the bottom left corner, and in there, you're going to fill it in with days, and this will be January. Who's working on January 1st other than Danny? Not to put you on accountability high here, right? So who's working January 1st? About 8% of this room. I find that interesting, but that's okay. That's now 30 days that you're going to work in January, assuming you take no other days off in January. Do you normally work every Sunday, or do you normally take every Sunday off for your family? Subtract those days as well. Keep subtracting those days until you get to the number of days you're going to work in January. Rinse and repeat that for every box. You're going to hammer out days worked in each of those months. What are you doing with this sheet? You're mapping out 2024 now so that 2024 doesn't tell you how it's supposed to be. Keep that in mind. There are things that do happen outside of our control, like being forced to talk on a microphone for video, that we just roll with. We don't have a choice. Same thing in 2024, but at least you had a roadmap that says, oh, I guess I got to take this detour, but the map tells you how to get back on track, okay? You also want to write the word deals and dollars in that same box. How many deals do you think you're going to close in January? How many dollars do you think that's going to generate in January? Now, when you do this, make sure that you are using real data to back up your claim. I can't tell you, look, use real data. If you know that you close more deals in January than you do in December, great. Look at what you did in December prior, add a deal or two to that, plus 10% that you want to earn to that, right? Just be realistic on these numbers. Don't like float some, I'm not saying you can't have big goals, but I am telling you to be realistic and go for the things you want while being real on your roadmap. Use data. If you know that for the whole year you're going to close, let's just do easy math, 48, which is 4 a month, but January is always slower in your market because snow or whatever that is in your market, then don't put 4 a month in January. Just make sure you load the months in the middle of the year that are higher producing than others. So the number of deals is going to go there. Number of dollars, you can easily just calculate that times your average commission check, plus 5% for whatever home values are going to do in your market. Doesn't matter. Point being, you're going to try to get to a dollar amount in January. The next thing I want you to do is write the word message. We talked about having a message when you call on the phone. Every month, I highly recommend that you just have a blanket message. And what does that mean? It means when I'm going to call people, I want to call for a particular reason. I don't want to just call people and keep saying, you think about buying or selling, and everybody think about buying or selling. Why not in January? This is just an example. In January, hey, as the new year kicks off, I was curious, you see yourself in a new home this year. I think that's a great message for January, as an example. Maybe in your market, January is the year that people sell their investments. Maybe it's the market in which people purchase new investments. Whatever that is for your market, great. But I think having an idea for a message, at least you can get something across to the consumer when you don't know what else to say, right? Inbound phone calls, totally a different ball game because we're not planning for that. We're planning for proactivity where you're outreaching to people that you haven't spoken to before. Or maybe there's those leads that you've yet to connect with. They came in, keep ignoring your calls, keep ignoring your texts, but for some reason on January 1st, for the 3 of you that are making calls that day, they finally pick up the phone because no realtor would ever call me on January 1st, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up the phone. Have a message. Maybe in March your message is, listen, springtime brings all the home buyers out. Let's talk about selling your home. Towards the end of the year, like right now, hey, as the year comes to a close, do you think you still want to get on a house this year, or are you thinking you're putting it off till next year? These are all like blanket template messages you can use to communicate to what I call randos, random leads that are in your system that you've had a hard time getting a hold of, a hard time shaking the tree, as it were, to get them to respond back to your stuff, okay? So have a message. Next thing I wrote down, audience. Have an audience. So I coach, train, whatever you want to call it, about 17 agents. All the time I'm hearing, I don't know who to call. I don't know who to call, right? Who to call. I would consider every month, if nothing else, even if you don't reach this audience, at least have a target audience, meaning this. In January, I think I'm really going to focus on first-time home buyers. In January, I'm really going to focus on my open house game. And everybody that I ever met at open house, that's going to be my audience. I'm going to focus on past clients. I'm going to really focus on my past. These are audiences. I'm going to focus on expired listings. And when I say focus on, it's not to say don't call expireds all the time, right? Because you call them, I'm going to use you as an example because I kind of know what you got going on. You call on expireds, is it fair to say daily? Okay, here's what I mean by focus on. I mean, my attention is going to be higher towards expireds in January. Yes, I'm going to call the 10 or 20 that, how many show up on a regular basis? When you pull up your list. So maybe in this month, you say, you know what, I'm really going to find an expired this month. So in that month, you want to double up, triple up. Say, what can I actually accomplish? Track it, because I'm a huge fan of data monitoring and tracking because I'm a spreadsheet nerd. Find out, oh my gosh, 2 and 3 times? I literally got 2 and 3 times the business. I'll keep doing it. Same thing with open house attendees. You've got a list of people that you've met at open houses, but you're struggling to get them to respond. You're struggling to get them to commit to either showings or, in Holly's case, writing offers, or in Kathy's case, writing good offers, right? This is all stuff everybody goes through. Like, you guys are not an island. Everybody goes through the pain of buyers writing under asking price offers in a market where they're going $20,000, $30,000, $45,000 over asking, right? Everybody goes through that. So track and monitor your audience throughout that month, but make sure you're adjusting your norms. Don't just call, in this case, the expireds, don't just call them once if your audience is them. Call them 2 or 3 times. See if you can shake the tree a little bit harder, okay? So that's an audience. Another couple of examples for audiences. Vendors. How often do you reach out to electricians? We talk about reaching out to vendors, electricians, roofers, contractors, or the devil, whatever you call them. Yeah, you talk about people that don't want to call you back. Those guys are as bad as realtors. Get in touch with these vendors that service your listings for a couple of reasons. One, if let's say, has anybody here had a transaction where a roof needed to be replaced kind of recently? Did you get the roofer out prior to close or is that post-close? How did you solve that? Prior to closing because it's FHA. Yeah, you better believe it does. Okay, great. Did the roofer do a good job? Roofer did a great job. And were you the one that had to get the roofer? Do you have the buyer? Okay, you have the buyer or did you have the seller? You had both sides. Fantastic. Okay, so here's what I'm saying in that regard. What was the name of the roofer? Too Tall Roofing Company. That's okay. Here's my suggestion for you. Reach out to that roofing company for the express purpose say, thanks again for making that deal happen, because here's what I'll share with you. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have got paid. Reach out to him for the express purpose of thanking him for getting that job done. Buy him some coffee, not at Starbucks. We know this crowd. So wherever that ends up coming from, and create a relationship that says, hey, if I get another deal like that, are you down to help me again in the future? He shouldn't say no to that, right? The point is you create an audience of vendors that are on your side. I would bet that roofer over time is going to start referring you to people he knows. He's going to go to a house that they're going to start replacing the roof because they're about to sell it, and he's going to say, guess what? I know Linton. That guy got it done. He got me out here lickety-split, closed it for both people, were happy as can be, right? There you go. Call Too Tall Roofing Company or whatever it is, right? She needs a roofer, right? So that's making connections. Do that for plumbers, electricians, windows, all that kind of stuff. Don't forget about lenders. We know some of those, or today we only know one. He's in the back, right? Do the same thing with lenders that have done you a solid in the business. Be proactive in your audience. Maybe February is a good month for that. I'm going to reach out to my vendors, thank them, appreciate them. Don't forget to ask them for business while you're on the phone with them, right? It's a good reason to reach out. And it's a good reason to expand your SOI. A lot of people say, how do I expand my SOI? Well, when's the last time you talked to the home inspector? When's the last time? So those of you in Jersey, from what I understand, you still have a lot of oil tanks in the dirt. They haven't figured that out yet, right? Can't you just take a shovel to everybody's yard and get this over with and be done with it? No, because enough deals haven't been killed over oil tanks yet, so let's kill a few more before we figure this out, that we should probably just remove all oil tanks regardless of me selling my home or not, right? Ridiculous. Anyway, get a hold of some of these oil tank removal companies and make real solid connections with them. Here's the deal. I live between the cornfields and the soybean fields in Indiana. And if I know you have an oil tank problem in Jersey, well, you're all here because you appreciate training, I would assume. So you're going to write down, and this is only in January, April, July-ish, and September, or October, whatever the ones are. You're going to put somewhere, I know this box gets a lot smaller on your page, you're going to put Q1 training. You're going to write Q1 training. And somewhere in there, you're going to talk about, okay, what is the training I'm going to attend in the first quarter? Am I going to do sales skills? Am I going to do negotiation skills? Am I going to be a better, whatever that is, right, for you? We'll go back to the expired part, right? I'm going to focus on expired training. I'm going to focus on for sale by owner training. I'm going to focus on being a better open house presenter. I'm going to whatever that is, right? Some people are shifting their business from buyers to encompass more sellers. I'm going to be a better listing agent. I'm going to be a better buyer agent. I'm going to be a better pre-deal negotiator, meaning I'm going to get the buyer to write an acceptable offer prior to actually writing the offer so that it gets accepted, right? Those die-hard buyers that just won't write it over asking price for right now. So that's Q1 training. The other thing, this is the last thing you're going to write here, Q1 projects. I can write Q1 projects. Do you go to Target? What is Target's project in August? Does anybody know what Target's project in August is? Who said it? I heard it. I heard Christmas. They are absolutely putting up Christmas trees in August. As silly as that sounds. Do you think they do that haphazardly? Or did they follow some data that says, although we literally piss off the entire country by putting Christmas trees up so early, we're going to do it anyway. They do it because it's data driven. I 100% tell you that. But yes, it's also back to school. So what are your Q1 Christmas trees? What are your Q2 back to school projects? What are your Q3 projects? What are your Q4 projects? As we continue to map out all 12 of these squares, the purpose of this is to give you a roadmap of things that you look to accomplish in 2024. And why you want that is you want to make sure now this year is going to end however this year ends. You can at least map out 2024 and say, this is what's going to be in my bank account December 31st, 2024. This is how I'm going to make sure that that happens. These are the projects that I'm going to work on to ensure that it happens. These are the trainings I'm going to attend, follow, listen to, study to make sure that happens. And at the end of the year, 50% more happens because either you get a little off track, you get distracted, then you get enthused again, and then you hit it hard again, then you get off track again, and you get back on track, you find some coaching, you find some accountability, whatever it is you do. End of 2024, you say, wow, I did this project. I did these 2 trainings. I did 28 days in January. I did 22 days in February. February is a leap year, by the way, so make sure you put 366 on your 2024 calendar if you didn't know that.